Every woman you see in this room has been raped. Some are still young teenagers. And look at the response when asked if they've been raped more than once. Almost every woman puts up their hand. In fact, many have been raped multiple times. Every woman here has a horrifying experience of almost unimaginable violence. And this at the hands of government soldiers, rebel militias, and the vigilante groups set up to protect the civilians. They live together in a small shelter run by Rebecca Masika after being rejected by their families and communities. Mama Sika, as she's known, understands the trauma of rape. She's been raped several times. If you look at my face, she says, you can see the scar. It's a mark of rape, and I have them all over my body. I had to help these women because I've been raped too. They made me watch them cut my husband's body into pieces. Then they raped me on his dead body. In the group of women she cares for, there are several pregnant with the babies of their rapists. Anarita is 16 years old, barely an adult, and carrying a child conceived out of torture. She has weeping sores where the rebels sliced her, one of the many times during the 4 months she was captive. She has terrible internal injuries too. Her birth won't be easy. They took us into the bush, she says, and those who refused to sleep with them, they forced by stabbing us with knives. They killed many of the girls. Some of them were shot with bullets in the vagina. Many, like Desange, go on to reject their rape babies. It's totally affected me, she says. I have a baby from the first time I was raped, but I don't love this child. I want nothing to do with him. I hate every man who wears a uniform. The shelter itself isn't safe. Many of the women hiding here were raped again when M23 rebels stormed the house last year. Chance Safari was one. She already had a 4-month-old rape baby when she was violated again. They didn't only rape, they looted and stole from us. The baby was in my bed, wrapped up in blankets, and they didn't realize he was there. They just took all the blankets with the baby inside, and the next day we found the baby thrown away on a waste tip. He was very ill and had broken ribs after being thrown, and he died soon afterwards. To see just a small outcome of these mass rapes, look at some of the children born out of this violence, a whole generation. Congo's civil war may be 20 years old, but the raping and brutality is still creating young victims. Mama Sika looks after these young ones, many of whom are abandoned by their traumatized mothers. She gets no funding but exists on donations. She does, however, get death threats from those she accuses of these crimes. They wrote me letters and told me, there'll come a day when we shall come and rape you, in the nose, the ears, the mouth, in your eyes. Wherever there's a hole in the human body, we will rape you, because you're wrongly accusing us and telling Western journalists that we are the people who are raping. And these people who are threatening me, she says, are men in uniform. They're men in authority, wearing suits, but carrying guns and speaking the Rwandan language. Their testimonies are difficult hearing and terrible viewing, but these women believe ignoring these crimes is just what their perpetrators want you to do. Georgetta's another who's been raped several times, and her tormentors don't want you to see her scars. She strips off to show how her rapist stabbed her breasts and then set fire to her body. It's a miracle she lived.
With a knife?
And bun and knife.
They mutilated me and tortured me. They took a knife to me and burned me, even my genitals. There were 10 of them who tied me down and took turns. My body was perishing. I had worms coming out of me. Mama Sika's work is untold and mostly unknown outside her community. But the youngsters and the women she counsels and cares for are hanging on to hope because of her. Out of Congo's chaotic civil war, there are far too many rape babies and rape victims. But Mama Sika has shown there are heroines too. Alex Crawford, Sky News, in the Democratic Republic of Congo.